This game is going to be probably the most anticipated game of the week. Game I'm most looking forward to watching outside of Bears Lions because of my own fan rooting interest. But it's hey, Super Bowl rematch, week two, Fox game of the week in Kansas City. Kansas City Chiefs hosting Philadelphia, who seems like the only team that really was able to just absolutely destroy the Chiefs the way they did in the Super Bowl. So you know that the Chiefs are going to be coming out motivated for this game. Chiefs look somewhat discombobulated and disjointed as a team when you talk about, you know, Tranquil getting into Chris Jones' face, yelling at Chris Jones about trying to play hero ball uh, on the final play of the game against the Chargers, allowing that big Justin Herbert run. And you had Xavier Worthy obviously get injured on a route by Travis Kelce where the route depth was off. And so on both sides of the ball, you kind of had some dysfunction there with the Chiefs. And this is a game where they're going up against the Eagles and spitting Jalen Carter, who served his suspension, but he's going to be ready to go for this one. And I think that's huge for the Eagles in this game. Christian, what are your thoughts on this one and what jumps out to you about this game?
Exactly that. I don't know if Jalen Carter should have been in this game. You can go back and forth on whether you agree he should have been suspended or not. But I think he's going to make all the difference in the world. I think Kingsley Suamatea is in for a rude awakening. Hopefully Mahomes can still have the impact with his feet that he did in week one. I still thought he should have won week one. Again, that Najee Harris holding call was abysmal, the fact that they missed it. There's no excuse for it. I don't care if you think it's built into the game. It's just no excuse. You can't miss that call. But yeah, I'm concerned that Worthy's going to be out. But hey, I think they're going to get something from Tyquan Thornton this week. I do think just because Jalen Carter's playing, I'm going to have to give the slight advantage to the Eagles. I think as far as favorites, it is the Philadelphia's favorite by 1.5. I'm going to take Philly with the spread.
Turtle, what about you? What do you think about this game?
Again, that'd be the first time I'm fading Christian today on the pod. Oh, actually, he had Indy, but I'm starting to fade Christian, and I like Kansas City in this game. Look, you mentioned it, Pat, a bounce back spot from the Super Bowl, but also a bounce back spot from last week in Brazil. The travel back concerns me a little bit, but you do get the extra couple days of rest, so almost a mini bye early in the year to kind of get what went wrong in week one figured out. Depth at wide receiver is a bit of concern, but one thing that really concerned me about Philly, Landon Dickerson looked like he was having trouble with his back. I think he was a limited participant in practice today. But that interior portion of Philly's offensive line, and just quite frankly, their offensive line in general, didn't look as stout as you would really expect against a Dallas team that I think leaves a little bit to be desired on the defensive front edge since Micah Parsons left. So there might be some advantage there for the Chiefs and Chris Jones, despite getting reamed out by Drew Tranquil. I think for sort of a bounce back spot here for those guys. So I think there's a lot of factors that kind of lean the Chiefs way for me. And personally, I think Philly underexceeded expectations week one against Dallas. I don't think they looked their sharpest. One interesting thing I saw, I'm sure you guys saw the chart of ADOT versus completed passes. Jalen Hurts, despite having, I think it was the cleanest pocket, despite having the cleanest pockets out of anybody week one, his ADOT was the lowest. So, I mean, that sounds like Jalen Hurts football, but kind of concerning that they weren't able to get guys like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith involved. There was a lot of Goddard and a lot of Saquon. But, yeah, I kind of like Kansas City here as slight underdogs. I think the motivation's on their side, and I think that there's some things they can exploit defensively against this Philly offense that I think underperformed last week.
Mm-hmm. I've got Philadelphia in this, and I think it really kind of boils down to the fact that, I mean, they've got Chiefs are going to be throwing out their two rookies along with Karlaftis and Chris Jones, trying to get pressure against this O-line and trying to slow down Saquon Barkley. Yeah, I mean, just the lack of a pass rushing front outside of Chris Jones to consistently put pressure on, Jalen Hurts, who can also make them hurt outside of the pocket as well. The secondary looked overmatched against Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnson, and Keenan Allen. Now you throw in AJ Brown, who did nothing last week and is gonna be looking for the targets in this game on top of Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. I think it's not going to be pretty, and I think you're going to be looking at an 0-2 Chiefs. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board and probably will get them angry and they'll go on a run. But I mean, I think the Eagles tear through the Kansas City defense, cover this spread. And we're going to be sitting here in week 3 being like, what is wrong with the Chiefs? I don't think they're going to have enough offensive plays either, to be able to keep up with, I think, is going to be scoring in droves from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, betting against the Chiefs at home is tough to do, but if there is a team that I would do it for, it's probably the Eagles. Here, I mean, you've got, they struggled against the Cowboys. It wasn't a clean game. You want to get AJ Brown more involved. You want Saquon Barkley to have more than 3 yards a carry that he had, and yet they won, and they won without Jalen Carter. And I think that bodes very well for them going forward in this season in terms of just that's what the Eagles are going to be able to do is they're going to win. Obviously had some questions on the back end with Adoree Jackson. Didn't have a great game. So he could be a liability in coverage. So they have a banged up secondary. But I do like the Eagles to get the wide receivers more involved. Whether it's Devontae Smith or AJ Brown, I think they're going to have to throw the ball in this game to win. And it's going to come down to, on the defensive side of the ball, whether they're able to pressure Patrick Mahomes. And I think they will be able to. With Jalen Carter back in the fold, they weren't able to get as much pressure on Dak Prescott last week. But I think Vic Fangio, if there's one thing Vic Fangio knows how to do, it's how to attack this Kansas City Chiefs offense. We saw him do it, and we saw him impose his will in a way that no other defensive coordinator has been able to since we've seen, since this Chiefs dynasty has exploded the way it has. So I'm going to go with history in that sense. I'm going to go with the Eagles in this game. Tough to bet against Patrick Mahomes, especially in Arrowhead, but I'm going to roll with what I saw in the Super Bowl. The teams are very similar in that sense. Not much has changed, and we saw the Eagles blow them out. So I'm going to keep going with that consistency, and I think that Vic Fangio is going to be the difference in this game, the defense he's going to call. And on the offensive side of the ball, as long as Jalen Hurts takes care of the ball, I think they're going to be able to win a close game in Arrowhead here. But hey, if there's one thing the Chiefs are able to do, it's win close games, especially at home. So, that it could go either way at the end of the day. I'll go with the Super Bowl champs and facing the team that, they blew out to win the Super Bowl. So give me the Eagles to cover in this game.
Wow. So I'm the only one picking the Chiefs, huh?
Yeah, my main thing is just the way Lad McConkey and Quentin Johnson looked against that Kansas City secondary. I can't see AJ Brown not being more involved on the offensive end.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, I don't know how much we're going to see with the Chargers too, and we're going to discuss the Chargers here in a bit. But yeah, that was concerning if you're a Chiefs fan, just kind of the dysfunction on the defensive end and how the Chargers were really able to pass the ball at will.